Kyle here for the channel Frank Jeeves, and I'm going to talk to you today about the motivations of Darth Vader. Anyways, I'm going on a walk at my neighborhood, and I've been having some thoughts about Star Wars and, you know, the whole thing with The Last Jedi, and just basically how Star Wars has kind of started to suck. And I wanted to go back to a moment in which Star Wars was really good, and explain why I think, like, even the prequels helped add to the depth of what the original movies were about. So now I'm walking around in my neighborhood. I got my God Save the Queen shirt with Freddie Mercury on it. Yeah, irrelevant stuff. But anyways, I think the most important scene in Star Wars is obviously the scene, well, not obviously, but the scene where Darth Vader actually chooses between Luke Skywalker and Emperor Palpatine. And he looks back and forth, a loyalty to the dark side versus a loyalty to his son, who represented the light. That scene was probably the most impactful scene that ever existed. Oh, hello. I'm walking along, so I occasionally come across neighbors. Anyways, that scene was probably the most emotionally impactful scene that one could ever experience in Star Wars. I think it personally rivals the "I am your father" moment. Even though, you know, for most people, Empire Strikes Back is considered the best movie of all time, my personal favorite is Return of the Jedi. And it's mostly because of the confrontation of Luke with Darth Vader. But that scene gets more to my gut. And there's a reason why. Because in that moment, Darth Vader had the most complete clarification of his struggles with the dark side and the light. And here's the reason why. So I'm going to get into some backstory here for the motivations of why Darth Vader and why Anakin Skywalker ultimately fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. A lot of the reasons why Anakin Skywalker would be inclined to support the Empire, inclined to support social order, inclined to support, you know, the concepts of use of brute force to establish order in the universe, has a lot to do with his mother's death. When he finally came back to try to save his mom in Tatooine, and ended up discovering that she had died, you know, well, in his arms, at the hands of sand people, he suddenly had a moment where he realized that essentially the chaos of the universe, the wildness, the primitiveness of the entire universe was what took his mother away. And he realized he'd have to become powerful. And that's one of the things he promised his mother at her funeral, was that he was going to become more powerful than ever before, so as to never let anyone die because of the primitive chaos, because of just wanton wildness. So that already established a motivation. He found chaos to be the enemy. And the only antidote to chaos is order. And in order to establish order with chaos that cannot be reasoned with, i.e. the sand people, is to use brute force and brutality, which is the thing that they only understand. So this is the first beginnings of his motivations towards the dark side, but it doesn't complete his motivations. You know, the dark side requires fear, anger, hate, loss. So he already hates the galaxy because the chaos of the galaxy killed his mother. The senselessness of the galaxy killed his mother. You got to think about that for a moment. You know, the senselessness of the world, that there's so much tragedy that could just be avoided if people just had some sense. And if they're not going to have sense, if they're not going to even try to have any sense, then you need to have some sense beaten into them. It's a very powerful temptation. But that's not the complete fall of that. What ended up finally pushing Darth Vader into Anakin Skywalker into becoming Darth Vader in the most permanent form of the Darkside was, of course, when he killed Padme. And I know this is particularly obvious, but, you know, some of the things, the motivations, the psychological motivations are so obvious. So it's like, okay, well then, yeah, he hates himself. But what is it about himself that he hates? He feels that the chaos of the galaxy that killed his mother imbued him with a certain degree of senselessness that caused him to kill Padme. At the end of the day, this is what motivates him to stay on the dark side, or to be chained to the dark side, so to speak. He's chained because now he hates himself. And the only way through is to become so powerful that he can destroy the chaos within inside the galaxy, the senselessness that ultimately ended up motivating him to kill Padme, and the senselessness that killed his mother, and to eventually grab the powers somehow from the Emperor to bring back life in order to redeem himself, in order to erase the mistakes he made. The mistake in not going to see his mother sooner, which he blames himself for. But he also blames the chaos of the galaxy. And Padme, which he blames himself for, but he also blames the senselessness of the galaxy. So, fast forward to Return of the Jedi, when Luke no longer wishes to become his father, to not let the same senselessness take hold of him. Darth Vader is finally shown, for the first time in a long time, the images of Padme, the images of his mother, the same caring nature, but in his own son, a reflection of himself as a male, as a man, a reflection of what he could have been, the love that was consistently given to him. So, here he stood, right next to Emperor Palpatine, who was a psychopath and could never understand empathy. This is one of the biggest miscalculations of why Palpatine didn't understand why Darth Vader would ever betray him or would ever expect it. Because he doesn't have the capacity to understand it. In that moment, Darth Vader had to choose between the power that could possibly, one day, bring back his mother, bring back his lover, his mate for life. He had to sacrifice those possibilities of bringing back the past and correcting his mistakes in order to save his son. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that. And I have a feeling that Disney isn't going to be able to ever really understand that in Star Wars, and the kind of load that they really need to be able to try to carry on this one. They're getting close. Kylo Ren's character development has some interesting things. I'll give you some more commentary on that later. But I'd like you to, listen to this video, think about it, share your thoughts, leave a comment below, and share this video with anybody you think it'd be kind of cool to see. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to listen to me while I'm just running around and talking and walking. I'll see you guys later.